Hello and welcome to this edition of TrojanVision One-on-One. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. Today, my guest is the Interim Dean of the College of Health and Human Services, Dr. Mark Tillman. Mark, thanks for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to talk a little bit about your position. You've recently been named the Interim Dean of the college, but we're going to talk about you, the position, and the college, and a lot of things that the college has to offer. We've got a lot to talk about on this episode, but first and foremost, let's talk about a little bit about you and basically a little bit of your history and how you got to where you are right now.
All right. It's a long history.
Oh, go right ahead. We got some time. So,
all right. Actually, my background is in engineering, although now I'm in health and human services. And the way it all fits together is that I actually studied the closest thing I could to biomedical engineering when I was an undergrad. And I went on to study biomechanics for my master's in engineering. And then I switched over and studied biomechanics in a similar college, actually a college of health and human performance. And after graduating, I took a one-year position at Stetson University in an exercise science department. And after that, I moved on to the University of Florida, where I spent 13 years as a faculty member, again in biomechanics, and I taught things like human anatomy, again in a college of health and human performance. And then I felt like it was time to have a new challenge, and I applied for a position here last year and was named the chair of the Department of Kinesiology and Health Promotion, and been here about 12 months. And we needed to make a change, and I'm a team player, so I picked up the ball when Dr. Ingram asked me to help out. And part of that was because as you know, Dr. John Miller was the interim dean for the college last year, but we needed him to take on a new role, specifically as the coordinator for our new PhD program in sport management.
Which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show here.
Yep, so when Dr. Ingram asked me to fill in as interim dean, I said, I'm glad to do it.
So were your expectations ever to be a dean whenever you first stepped foot on campus?
On this campus, perhaps. A long time ago, no, I never imagined I'd be in an administrative role, but so far I'm enjoying it.
And so you talked about, you came here originally kinesiology and health promotion. So obviously a little bit of your expertise in that. So what made you decide to make the leap from engineering to anything related to health? So to me, it seems like a little bit of a big jump there. So.
Well, you're right. It does look like a big jump from the outside, but I think from my perspective, it seemed like a logical step. And actually, it came from me and my own personal health background and my own injuries, because I like to play sports, and I tend to get hurt. And the connection for me there was to try to combine physics and engineering with the human body. So biomechanics is basically the study of human movement with the goals in mind of improving performance and preventing injuries.
And of course, honestly, that's become a popular subject. There's TV shows, entire television shows about the science and technology of movement and mechanics. So obviously, you were on the right path there.
I think I was.
Well, let's talk about your position now that you are dean, whether you had the aspirations of it before you got here or not. You are now in the position of interim dean. So what do you feel your hopes and expectations for the college now that you're in that position?
Whew, that's a big question. And I'll preface that by saying that I've only been the dean since July 14th. So it's just been a few weeks. So I'm definitely learning the ropes. And what I've been challenged to do is try to promote growth of the college in times of financial concern. So we want to try to maintain growth and keep up the quality of our programs, take care of our students. Of course, that's number one. Like we're a teaching institution, and we have to take care of our students first.
And now let's talk about the college itself. For the people out there who aren't familiar with it, College of Health and Human Services, that seems could be a broad topic. And obviously, when you get right down to it, it really is a broad subject. You've got a broad range of academic criteria that fall into there. Tell us a little about what the Health and Human Services, what makes up that college.
Well, you're right. You're exactly right. Health and Human Services it's an umbrella term, and a lot of things fit underneath it. And we actually have 5 different departments and schools that are housed in HHS. And one of those is the Department of Athletic Training Education. We also have the Department of Kinesiology and Health Promotion. We have a Department of Social Work, Rehabilitation, and Health Services. And we also have our Department of, actually it's a School of Hospitality, Sport and Tourism Management, and then we have a School of Nursing. So we have the 5 different programs that are completely different.
As I was saying, it sounds like there's a variety of different subjects all combined into one. So you look like you have your work cut out for you.
It feels like it so far.
But of course, a lot of those, though, of the 5 you mentioned there, there's some pretty big, important parts of the elements of that, and probably some of the more well-known elements, especially 2 of them with Troy. One in particular is nursing. Troy has been known for its nursing program and its opportunities, but obviously having that under there is something that probably is maybe a point of pride for the college. Especially, it was the first part of the university to offer a doctoral level program. So obviously, nursing, a lot of emphasis and a lot of knowledge about that subject.
Oh, you're exactly right, and our nursing program is a great program, and it covers all areas of nursing. So we have degrees from the associate's level to the bachelor's, to the master's, and then to the doctorate. So we have every base covered there, and I'm just going to say that we're bursting at the seams with students in nursing. We actually increased student credit hour production by 5,000 credit hours between 2012, 2013, and 2013, 2014. So we are growing, and it's all we can do to slow it down.
And you hear all the time, nurses are needed. And as the medical field expands and more people are needed, nursing seems to be that need, that necessity for good nurses. So do you see that as a strong point for Troy to be able to help put out good nurses out there in the working world?
Oh, definitely. It's a very strong point for us. And one of the other great parts is that our nursing program is so highly regarded that students are definitely they're earning their positions based on their education.
Just because they went to Troy, that's usually a foot in the door as a result of the program.
Right.
So
that's
it's good to know we've got that kind of clout behind our program there. Now, another one that a lot of people, and this is one that maybe a lot of people see more often, especially if they go to sporting events, and that's the athletic training. Then the students have the chance to actually, get involved with athletic training and be a part of that. So tell me about the athletic training. Obviously, another point of pride because you got students that are actually out there doing the work and making themselves better at their chosen profession.
Yes, and we're in a great situation here at Troy because we're a perfect size school for them to get the maximal experience from their education, because they have the ability to work at a Division I school. In addition to local high schools. So our athletic training students work in the community and they work with the university, with the athletic program. So they work and they also work in clinics. So they see every range of the population. They see people that live in Troy, they're residents of Troy, but they also deal with high school athletes all the way up to Division I athletes.
And of course, and you mentioned their clinics. And once again, back to the nursing side, the clinical side of things, that you've actually got students here who are working side by side with the professionals and working in the professional world. And I would think that that's got to be a plus and a bonus to this program to be able to offer students who are interested in this the chance to get practical experience while they're in school.
Right, and it's a necessity. They have to have it for accreditation purposes and to ensure that they're skilled when they go out into the workforce. And they see that in a variety of settings, everything from a course lab to hours that they spend in hospitals in Birmingham.
And so that chance for that hands-on, and obviously a good opportunity there for that in the program now. Now, Health and Human Services, we talked about, and some of the other programs that you've got involved. I do not want to not mention them, obviously, but one of the most recent additions, though, is the hospitality addition to this. And so, why do you feel that we've got to, I guess, stretch out in the Health and Human Services and have so much variety in the topics there? So.
Well, it's important for us, and I think maybe one thing that links all these schools and departments together is quality of life. And I think that quality of life is an important part of sport. It's definitely related to sport. So I think we have that link there. It's a growing area. The sport industry is huge. It's probably something that is in some ways immune to a downturn in the economy. Sports are still going to grow. They're still going to be popular. They're a release for all of us. So that's why we had the split last year, and that resulted in the creation of the new department, or the new School of Hospitality, Sport, and Tourism Management in the fall of 2013.
And so now let's talk a bit about the popularity of you're talking about sport, but popularity of the college. And obviously you mentioned that it ties directly into things that are very popular, but talk a little bit about the college itself, and you've seen some successes within at least the past year in the college, correct? Relating to the popularity of the programs that you have in the college.
Right, exactly. We were able to grow last year, which is nice. As a college, we increased our student credit hour production up by about 6,000 hours, which was excellent for us and for the university. So we're seeing this continued growth, and we expect to see more of it in the future. And maybe a smaller example of that is we added a new degree program in kinesiology, which is the exercise science degree program. And we started that in the fall of 2013. And we went from 0 students to over 200 in 1 year.
That's quite a growth. So why this popularity in these programs? Why are you seeing such growth? What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think it's because of the interest in general in health. Our exercise science students want to go on to physical therapy school and occupational therapy school, and perhaps to be a physician's assistant or even medical school. And our students are very smart. They understand the demand for these jobs, and they know that the jobs are going to be available to them in the future.
And so, and of course, people are getting more excited about exercise and health, and so one might think that that's just a natural trend, the reason why this popularity is picking up. So talk about people now in their 40s and 50s that are going out and doing extreme sports, which you may not have seen that 30 years ago. So I would assume that that's the kind of thing that's kind of contributing to the demand for these kind of jobs in health and human services.
Oh, sure. I think that's a big factor. And that's just the way that our society works now. A lot of us have jobs that maybe are not physically demanding, and we look to other ways to get that activity in.
And of course, and you mentioned yourself, that's how you got went from engineering to kinesiology because of your interest. So obviously, there's other people like you out there that are looking for ways to, I guess, expand their horizons and get a little healthy and fit there, and be able to learn more about that. But let's talk about one of the main reasons we brought you here today is an exciting addition to Troy University. And as we mentioned earlier, the nursing program had the first doctoral program at Troy University, but it was a Doctor of Nursing practice. But you now are soon going to offer the very first PhD ever offered by Troy University. First off, how does it feel to be a part of the college that is offering the first ever PhD offered by Troy? Well,
it's great. It's a huge honor. It's very, very prestigious for the entire university that we are going to be offering our first PhD. And we're not, let's see. Well, there are other PhD programs in the country in sport management, but one of the things that is really great about our program is that it's the first one that's offered completely online by a nonprofit institution.
So, and that's an important part of that is the nonprofit and I guess the credibility of a nonprofit institution to be able to offer behind that, which would I would assume, make this a very popular degree program for those looking for this sort of thing.
Yes, it's definitely popular, and we're seeing that popularity already. As you know, we're going to officially launch the program in the fall of 2015, but we already have quite a few people that are applying for this program.
Already,
so 1 year in advance, they're already applying.
They're wanting to get it. And you mentioned here that it is an online degree. We'll talk a little about more of the mechanics first, but it is a PhD in sports management. I do want to get this out of the way for the folks at home who may not be familiar with what sports management entails. If you would, just tell us a little about what is sport management and what falls into that category there.
Well, basically sport management is understanding the business side of sport, and that can. Boy, there are so many areas that could potentially be involved, but that's probably the best way to sum it up in a nutshell.
The business side of sport.
Right.
So and that could possibly entail from just like we mentioned, athletic trainers and managing that all the way up to athletic directors and owners of businesses, right? So
Yes.
Of sports teams. So
Right. Organizing, advertising, all the different aspects that go into sport that we don't think about. Like even when you see the virtual ads that are printed out on your screen, you see it on the football field, on your TV. You know it's not really there,
Yeah.
but that's another part of sport
as part of management,
Yeah.
all those little behind the scenes aspects, the not the coaching or the players, but everything else surrounding it is what you're looking at in sport management.
And
So-
you know that's a very important distinction to make too, because sometimes people confuse coaching and sport management, but they are definitely two very distinctly different things.
And even a manager of a baseball team, which is a term in the business, does not really mean sport management. I was confused about that at one time back before I have gotten more familiar with sport management.
Right.
But it's everything not related to the actual X's and O's on the field.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so let's talk a little about sport management and this program and why it's going to be so, you feel that it's going to be so popular. Obviously a PhD, but why would someone be looking for a PhD in sport management?
Well, it all depends on what their career goals are, of course. And our PhD program is a research-based degree, so we're going to have a lot of applicants who want to go into academics. They want to be faculty members themselves. But we're also going to get our fair share of practitioners who perhaps are working working in sport. Maybe they are aspiring to be an athletic director, and they feel like gaining that extra education, that extra degree is going to help them achieve that next job.
And so, and I would think that would be popular among someone, maybe athletic directors out there in the field, who maybe have gotten that master's degree. Maybe they've gone to that level, but of course they can't, if the college they work at doesn't offer a PhD program, it's going to be probably kind of tough for them to move and go to another university to just get their degree. So, poof, Troy offers an online program.
Right.
And so again, for someone in academia, that would be a chance to, as a university, be able to take advantage of that. And talk about the online aspects of this, because obviously I mentioned there a benefit of it, but the fact that this is an online program and how this is going to benefit, especially maybe people who are actually still working in the field and working day to day in this.
Well, of course, the obvious benefit is the flexibility regarding time. And one of the other things that is really important too is that just because it's online doesn't mean that any of the rigor is going to be decreased, because it's going to be a very rigorous degree. It's and like I said, it's going to be heavily based in research, but at least that time factor is going to be built in. And if someone does have a job, perhaps they're going to be picking up a second job to earn that PhD in sport management with us.
And now you talk about it's heavily based in research. For those that aren't related to academia out there that are watching this, talk about what you mean by that it's going to be heavily based in research.
Well, basically that's going to start from the very beginning, even with through the selection process. So when people apply for this PhD program, they need to express what their research interests may be, and then we're going to be matching those research interests up with faculty advisors so that they will be working with the person that is the best fit for them.
And so does that mean they've got to have a research idea in their heads before they even make an attempt to apply?
Not necessarily a research idea, but it would be nice if they know an area of research that they're interested in.
And so, and one would think that someone who is going into a PhD program would kind of have some thoughts in their head, but that's not necessarily a requirement, is it not?
It's going to be. It'll be strongly considered. It's not a definite requirement, but it's going to be an important factor in the selection process.
Now, talking about the online aspect of this, and even though it's not offered here on campus at Troy, you do have the benefit of the faculty members here at Troy that are going to be a part of this. And let's talk a little about the faculty involvement and what you've got in support of this program.
Okay. Well, basically we have a great faculty in HSTM. We have 12 faculty members that will be involved in, in some level relative to this program. And I got to tell you something about their background.
Mm-hmm.
They're a very impressive group. They've authored 14 books and 78 book chapters, 362 peer-reviewed scientific publications, and they've made 646 presentations at national and international conferences. So we have a real strong pedigree, and that's another thing that's going to attract these potential students, because they're going to see the skills that our faculty members have, and it's going to draw them in.
And may I compliment you on your ability to remember all those numbers, because I'm impressed just by that right there. If that was the requirement, I would sign up right away with that, just being able to churn those numbers off the top of your head.
Thanks. I've been trying to practice.
now those are the ones just based in Troy that you're talking about there, or were you talking about additional faculty? Because I know you've got someone special that it's a part of this faculty that I know you're proud of, and it apparently has a pretty big reputation in the field of sport management.
Right. Actually, well, we have some real heavy hitters in our sport management program, and the majority of them are here on campus. Mm-hmm. But we have faculty members in Atlanta, in Orlando, San Antonio, and in Canada. And the person you mentioned specifically is Dr. Celladori. We call him Cella, keep it simple for us. And he is actually considered the father of sport management. And we were able to land him for our faculty, and he's been a great addition for us.
And so for those that are in the field will recognize that name, and another thing that will attract people into it. To be able to have somebody, to have anyone that's considered the father of whatever the discipline you're teaching, that's a pretty big catch, I would say.
Oh, it's huge for us. It's huge.
And now the program itself, you've mentioned this a couple of times, but let's talk about the timeline we're looking at here. What are we looking at from this point on, and when it's going to start?
Well, we're set to start for the fall of 2015. Mm-hmm. And do you mean about the timeline, how long it would take someone to go through the program?
Yeah, the process and stuff like that.
Okay,
like when someone goes through the program, let's talk about the timeline of someone. How long will it take for them to get through this degree program? Sorry about that.
Okay,
do that.
Excellent. No problem. So, well, we already have them applying, mm-hmm. So we'll have them starting up in fall 2015. And depending on how they choose to proceed, there'll be a couple of opportunities to get through this a little bit quicker, or maybe on a more moderate time frame. But if a student came through and they took perhaps the maximum amount of classes to finish in the least amount of time, it could be about 3 years.
Okay.
And we would expect that in a traditional time frame, it would take about 4.
Okay. And so students need to know that that's what they're going to be looking for if they want to be a part of this. Now, and you mentioned it's going to start in fall of 2014.
2015.
2015.
Yep.
2015. We are in fall of 2014.
Yeah.
Fall of 2015. And so what do they need to do if someone's watching this now to start this process, to initiate the application process?
That's where they'll need to go to our website,
okay.
and follow the links for potential students, and there'll be a series of information that they have to input, and that'll be the best way to do it.
And so, and they could start. When can they actually start officially applying, or have they already been able to do that at this point? So,
well, that's an interesting question. Mm-hmm. Officially, they should probably start applying in the near future. Mm-hmm. There's a way for them to apply right now, but it's probably not the best mechanism available.
So, but keep that in mind, and at least make contact if they're interested in being a part of this program.
Yeah,
so.
if we're going to pick maybe a more specific time, January 2015 would be great.
Okay, and now let's talk about the class size. How many do you expect to be in this first class?
Well, that's another good question, mm-hmm. and we're probably expecting anywhere between 8 and 10 to start the first year.
Okay, and so now if you've got a lot more interest in that, is there an opportunity for expansion, or is that going to be a finite number somewhere
I would
there?
think probably right now we might max out at about 14. Mm-hmm. And again, this is all related to maintaining the quality of the program.
Of course.
Because we can't give the impression that we're some kind of a degree mill, mm-hmm. Because it is going to be rigorous. So each of these students that come in, they deserve to have the proper attention that comes from their advisors.
Most definitely, and understandable. So that, but just wanted to try to get that thought out there to make sure how many you're going to have in there, so people want to get involved with this. They'll know, and so maybe you'll get lucky and you've got to hit that maximum number on your first year.
Yep, that'd be great. And it's they need to know it's a competitive process, and don't hesitate to apply. We're glad to take a look.
And now, are you you looking for Troy students that want to progress to the PhD level, or are you hoping to pull people from outside sources, or a little bit of both?
Well, one of the really nice parts about this program is that really we're tapping into a completely new population for us at Troy. Since it's our only PhD, any students that we bring into the program are really new students for us that we weren't able to educate before. So I think we're going to have a worldwide appeal, but we're also going to have an appeal right here on campus. So I think we'll end up with a mix of students that were Troy students and from elsewhere.
And of course, and with such a strong undergrad and master's program in this here at Troy, one would think that it would just be the natural progression organically just to move on up to go ahead and get that PhD.
Oh, sure. I think that's a very strong possibility.
Well, here's hoping that there's success for the PhD program in this first year, and we're lucky to have the opportunity to have you with us here on this episode of TrojanVision 101 to tell us about the program, the first ever PhD, and your position here as the interim dean, and hopefully there'll be smooth sailing for you from this point on. Especially, you've got a lot on your plate, especially with this PhD program. So
we'll hope for the smooth sailing.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of TrojanVision 101, and it's been a pleasure talking with you about the variety of topics in the College of Health and Human Services. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of TrojanVision 101. We hope you join us next time for our next TrojanVision 101.